Hey guys, Josh at Bane Tech, and it's about that time to actually do a review about the HTC One M8. This is the Verizon variant, and I want to just talk about some of my favorite things about it and some of the things I don't like about it. One of the first things that I noticed about the HTC One M8, and it's something that I really have grown to appreciate because I've been so used to products like Samsung to where it's all plastic, and that's the build quality. The build quality is phenomenal with this device. It's one of my favorite things about it. So if you didn't know, the HTC One M8 is pretty much completely an all metal body. The full framework is just completely metal. It's really nice. With other devices like the Moto X or the Samsung Galaxy series, it's just got all those plastic kind of feels or even rubbery kind of feels, which at times those devices feel really nice, but when you put your hands on a full metal body, there's just something about it that really makes it stand out. So because of this feel and design, like it really feels good in the hand. And the size of the device is almost like a perfect size that's right between one-handed to two-handed use. I think someone with decent sized hands like myself just can really get along with it just fine. But because of the curvature here, it really just has like that nice in-hand feel that you don't get with a lot of other devices. So with that said, like the screen size is actually really nice. It's a nice comfortable size that to where one-handed use is pretty easy, and if you need to, you can actually use two hands without a problem as well. So as you can see here, I'm really able to navigate the screens just fine. I'm able to pretty much touch all four corners without having to scoot the phone or move it in another direction or come in with my other hand to even use the device. Now I will say this, that the power button, I don't really like the placement of it because you do have to end up scooting up all the way up here just to touch it and turn it on or off. So overall, as far as the build quality and the physical experience with the HTC One M8, it's been a good experience and I enjoy handling it even when it has a case on. It feels good and it's not that big. Coming from a Note 3, there's definitely a noticeable difference, especially in the area of being pocketable. This phone fits nice in the pocket. The fact that the headphone jack is on the bottom of the device, I really like that because it makes it really easy to pull in and out of my pocket without having to kind of flip around the device. Speaking about the sound, the earbuds that the HTC One M8 comes with are actually pretty nice. I've enjoyed using them and they've become my favorite earbuds that I've used recently. There's a flat design on the cord, which is pretty nice, but they also feel comfortable in the ear. It blocks out a lot of sound, so if you like to have a quiet environment when you're listening to your music and such, these are actually really nice to go with. Not to mention, these are very compatible with the boom sound. So moving along past the body and what it's made of, like there's actually more to it than just what the looks are. Now the overall experience with the HTC One M8 has been actually really nice. The fluidity is pretty good. There's not much lag in areas. There are lags mostly in just the apps themselves, so nothing to complain about in that department, which is a nice simple fact. But part of the experience that I really like with what I've discovered with the HTC One M8 is actually HTC Sense 6.0. Now, I'm a guy coming from someone that really doesn't like TouchWiz, and TouchWiz just really kind of wants to make it its own almost operating system in a sense. But what I've discovered about the HTC Sense 6 is that there's very similar traits, especially like with the notification panel here, with the stock Android look, just even with that aspect right here. And I really like that, and it's something that I appreciate because I am a fan of stock Android, AOSP style of the Android operating system. Where you do get into some of the Sense kind of styling is pretty much places like the menu and the settings and whatnot. With all that kind of said, I pretty much make any device that I get match to what I always use. For example, I have Nova Launcher installed on here and I install the custom icon packs that I want. And then I also have the options of exposed framework to where I can make some more functionality work in my favor. And that's something that I prefer to do rather than actually loading ROMs. This particular device is actually rooted, it's got S off, and those are some of the options that I choose to do because I like to have the ability to manipulate my phone in the ways that I want it to be manipulated in, as far as the looks, if I want to load a ROM, if I want to have some different stuff like Wi-Fi tether root. There's different exposed framework modules that I really enjoy, and with all that kind of stuff, the only way to do that is to have a rooted device. So I really do like having this rooted, and being a Verizon user, you are definitely locked down on many devices as far as having a locked bootloader or not. So with that said, it definitely is nice having the HTC One M8 unlocked bootloader to where I can just really load and do what I want with it. Devices like I just came from with like the Note 3, the S4, it was kind of a pain. I'm so thankful that I discovered Exposed Framework because I was able to just about create my own ROM without actually having a ROM. So that was really nice. But the HTC One M8 brought back some really nice memories of being able to have an unlocked bootloader and be able to just really do what I want with it. So let's get into some of the stuff that I don't really care about the HTC One M8. Now these haven't really been deal breakers for me, but they are definitely some stuff that will hinder the experience from the kind of devices that I've had in the past. First of all, the camera. I ended up actually going to the Google stock camera just because it was a little bit more simple, and I like the ability to like switch between stuff a little bit easier and fluently. One of my biggest complaints about the HTC camera is that, I'll give you an example here, you have to go through a process just to switch between modes. So if you want to do selfie, which is the front facing camera, or if you want to go to the camera, you have to go through this menu here. Now with like a Samsung device, there's actually just a little icon on the screen and you just tap it once. You don't have to go through an extra step. So I don't really care for that part about the camera. Other than that, I think the images come out okay. When you come from a Samsung device like an S4, S5, or Note 3, you really do get spoiled with the quality that comes from those cameras. Now one of the other little downfalls that kind of is tagged along with the camera is the gallery. First of all, I had no idea how this gallery worked when I first got it. So I went ahead and just tapped the first thing, like, you know, the first picture. And then I get this music turning on. And I'm like, I'm in a quiet place. I don't want the music coming on. Like, it was just kind of a pain in the butt until I actually figured out that that's not the first picture. That was just HTC trying to put their own little spin on collecting pictures together and putting it to some music. So I actually discovered that you have to select this guy here if you want to get to those pictures, the first ones that show up from your camera gallery. The other thing I really don't like about this gallery app is that you can't long press and select multiple pictures all at the same time. Like, there's a lot of times to where I just want to go through my gallery app and just kind of clean up some pictures of ones that I don't want. Normally I'm used to actually just being able to long press and then select multiple pictures to where I can just delete them if I want to. Now the pictures are gone and I don't have to singly go into each photo and delete them one by one. Another fact that I really don't like about this phone is actually what's kind of surprising to me with boom sound and some of the sound quality that HTC puts into this device is that the recording quality is not that great. Now I use this HiQ MP3 recorder as my voice recorder. I like to use my device as an external microphone for voiceovers for certain videos here and there. The Samsung phones that I've had have phenomenal microphones. They sound really good and provide really nice recording devices, but this on the other hand, not so much. And this is an app to where I can really tweak a lot of the settings to try to get the best sound as possible, but it still doesn't really go up to par. I have to really turn up the gain a lot in order to even get a decent amount of volume to come out of it. Going along with the sound quality again is actually from the phone app. Now, again, I'm really surprised that this department really didn't flourish because of the boom sound kind of technology that goes into the HTC One M8. But when I'm on the phone, it's actually not as loud as what I'm used to as compared to a Galaxy S4, a 5, or a Note 3. Those Samsung devices actually have really good sound call quality. It's really easy to hear the person, and I never get complaints about the other person not being able to hear me. Now, on the other end of the phone, I've never had that complaint. But what's interesting to me is that even with these big old speakers on the top that include the boom sound, that the sound quality doesn't actually come out as good as what I've experienced with other devices. Now, something that I ran across with the camera was actually the lens. I discovered that I saw some like light scratch marks going across the lens area, and it's a little difficult to show you on camera, but the way to fix that was actually to take toothpaste and a Q-tip and just kind of rub it out. For some reason, there's some light film on here that is easily scratched, just like a first layer kind of thing. So once I clean that off, it actually looks brand new. Now the HTC One M8 has been a phenomenal device. It's been one of my favorites of the last few years, and that's a definite fact right there. I really enjoyed the build quality. The build quality is one of the top aspects of this device that I really like. I really enjoy the boom sound. The sound quality is really nice. It's really fun to watch videos on this device because of the sound. Now, is the M8 enough for me to keep or go back to the Note 3? The answer is I'm actually going to go back to the Note 3. This has been a really great device, but I do miss the camera and I do miss that big screen. The Note 3 is one of those devices to when you have one, it's really hard to use anything else. Now, if the camera isn't a deal breaker and a big screen isn't a deal breaker, I think this phone is a perfect choice for you because it's got a phenomenal build quality to it. It's a good size for the hand, and the sound quality as far as boom sound goes and the music experience is really nice. One of the frustrating things that I discovered, which is very unfortunate, is that the M8 doesn't really communicate that well with my MacBook. Even Samsung devices kind of have a hard time connecting with the MacBook, but at least there are programs that it will recognize, like the Keys program, and even some online sources now. So it was definitely kind of disappointing that the HTC doesn't really communicate that well with the MacBook, because I do like the ability to just connect the phone to the computer and manage any kind of files that I want to manage. The worst thing about this phone, and I think most of you would agree that this actually is quite annoying, that you have to use the SIM card removal tool to even get to your SD card. Now, I know other devices you have to, remove the battery or something like that to get your SD card, but the pain in the butt thing about this is that if you want to get to your SD card on a frequent basis, you have to actually carry this thing around with you no matter where you are. This is definitely a design flaw in my opinion. I really don't think that this is a good idea to have to use a SIM card removal tool to get to your SD card. This has been my full review on the HTC One M8. I wanted to give a user experience type of review, somewhat bypass some of the specs and whatnot. Specs are really easy to look up, and honestly, specs don't really tell the whole story until you get it in your hands and use it as a daily driver. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so you can see more videos like this.